In the 1980s, researchers and teachers of writing got obsessed with grammar, not because they wanted to make writing classes solely focused on grammar, but rather because of their colleagues in different academic disciplines believed the study of writing was limited only to grammar. This annoyed those who studied writing because the field was moving to understand writing as a cognitive process that could be studied and taught, not just a series of lessons on the appropriate ways of using a comma. Williams, a professor at the University of Chicago, published The Phenomenology of Error in 1981, and in doing so, he broke some serious ground in the field. Rather than simply understanding grammar as a series of right or wrong choices made by the writer, Williams argued that error, or rather the perception of error, is found in the reader, but those perceptions differ from reader to reader. Basically, he's arguing that grammar rules aren't rules so much as preferences held by the person reading a text. In his experience consulting with faculty colleagues, government organizations, and others, Williams found, quote, great variation in our definition of error, great variation in our emotional investment in defining and condemning error, and great variation in the perceived seriousness of individual errors. The categories of error all seem like they should be yes, no, but the feelings associated with the categories seem much more complex. So for example, as a reader and writer, I get really keyed up about comma splices. I don't know why, it's just an error that I always notice. The other day, I was talking with a friend about how she was editing a colleague's State Department memo that was riddled with split infinitives. She couldn't get over how an official in the State Department could make such an egregious error. But for me, I hardly even notice a split infinitive. The response that we have to errors that we notice is something Williams picked up on. He described it as a social error that many readers wrongly ascribe to grammatical mistakes. So here's an example of a social error. If you spill a drink on someone at a fancy social gathering, you've committed a social faux pas, and at the risk of offending the person you've spilled on, you have to fall over yourself apologizing. Many readers respond to grammatical errors in the same way. Those errors are horrible, atrocious, oafish, or detestable. But here's the thing. After spending about 15 pages exploring the different ways people react to error, in the last paragraph, Williams confesses that his essay, published in the flagship journal of our discipline, has over 100 deliberate grammatical errors. The takeaway here is that as readers, we don't expect errors in a published article by a well-respected scholar. We give the reader the benefit of the doubt, and we assume that there aren't errors in the piece. But we don't give many readers the benefit of the doubt. For those writing in a second language or in a dialect that differs from their home dialect, for those less experienced writers or those with learning disabilities, readers come to their texts expecting error. And because of that expectation, readers are bound to find them. And then, because we assume that a grammatical error is some kind of social error, we can often pass judgment on the writer, which can only get in the way of our ability to support and consult with writers effectively. So here are some questions for you to consider. What are your experiences noticing error? How do you react when you see errors in others' writing? What are your experiences with having other people notice your errors? How have others, teachers, classmates, or other readers reacted when they find errors in your writing? And how do you react when others find errors in your work? Here's the most important question though. Why do you think we notice some errors and not others? If this video piqued your interest, I definitely encourage you to read the article so you can explore these ideas in more depth. You can find the article as an optional reading in our Week 4 folder on Blackboard.